welcome to this second webinar. We're gonna go through first steps in Meshmoon. So this will be around a little hour session, and the subjects we're gonna see today is how we create our space in the Meshmoon side, then how we can add some applications and layers to our space. Then we're gonna access this 3D space we've created, and we will go through the build mode, the storage, and what is exactly inside the storage. So then we will import some content inside the storage to make an example so we can understand what are components and materials. So let's go, and first what you need to do is to go on your favorite search and type Meshmoon so you can find the meshmoon.com site. Once you're there, you just have to click on create. If you have not yet created your account, just create your 3D space. This will lead you to a login and password and name, creation page. So you will receive a mail to confirm your inscription. And then what you should do is just log in here. So just put what you've created before. Login and password. Like this. Okay, and once you logged, you can go on the top bar menu here and choose create new 3D space. So I've already created the space for our webinar. Yep. Sorry. It's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So we're gonna take this example, like I've created webinar space. So once you clicked on create new 3D new space, you will end up on this page. Then you just have to create the name of your space and make sure it's public space that is shown in the client listing, that your space is online. Make sure all those safe space and maintenance off are activated like this. Public space or private space means people see it or don't see it, are accepted inside your world. Shown in client listing or do not show it in the client listing is quite evident. Space is online, it means if it's activated or not. Safe space is very important, so really leave it like this. That means your space is saved every time, so you can take a backup and do what you were doing an hour ago or 2 days ago. So maintenance off, also leave it like this. This is when you work on your space. Now under you have categories. You can choose between several categories like education, industry, games. I'll let you see on the drop-down menu. This is very important too. You need to choose from where you're using the server. So if it's European, North American, or Finland. Here you can add some tags, like in the web page you can add some tags. So in the search bar we can easily find you. Here you can select a file on your computer. Just click select and find a picture to add a logo. So this logo will be on the left of your spaces in the client listing. So I will show you later. Remember this little logo, we'll see it later. So once we've done this first part, we're going to go through the second part. It's very simple. We're going to add some application. So we don't need many applications for the moment. We only need 2 applications. So the one we need is voice and chat. It's quite important, basic and important, and the avatar also very important, so you can see an avatar in your world. So now that we have set all this, public, showing client listing, spaces online, safe space, and maintenance off, and choose category, set our region, put some tags, choose a picture for our logo, and add some applications like avatar and voice chat. You can try the other one after if you want. Just click save. So this will send you a very important mail. You should really keep this mail. It's the Mesh account creation. So if you don't find it, type this in your mail, Meshmoon account created, and you will find the keys to open your storage. So, sorry. Now let's go and add some layer. Basically, you have a layer when you create your first 3D space. Should be a winter layer with a house. but you can remove this layer or add a different layer. So once you have saved, we're going to go now in the little second top menu, the blue one, and we're going to choose layers. So as you can see here, you can add some layer, and we have a drop-down list with many layers you can choose. So I've created a few, like spring landscape or summer landscape or winter landscape you can try, but there are many others you can try to. So if you want to remove a layer, just remove here the key that will be written, and you will have nothing in your space. So now that we know about the creation of our 3D space and the layers, we can connect to this space. So we assume that you have downloaded, oops, I'm already connected to a world, so let's disconnect first. Okay. So let's assume you have downloaded the Meshmoon Rocket client, and now we're gonna start the Meshmoon client. So you should have an icon like this one, a little rocket on your desktop. So I'm gonna click on it. Okay. So once you are in the client, you won't see exactly the same thing. You should not see the client listing yet. You should see just a little pop-up with login password. So just use the same login and password you're using, you know, in the website. They're exactly the same when you looked in the site. So use them here, and very briefly you should see all the spaces that were created in Meshmoon. So what you need now is just to find yours. So go in the search bar and type the name of the space you created. So ours is called Webinar, like this. So click on it and log in to your space. So first time you log in, it might be empty, or if there is a ground, that's cool. But in case it's empty, just press F, that happens, or like this, or you will be falling down in a black space. Okay, so now that I'm flying, I can stabilize here. Okay, so here we have entered our 3D space. So first, I just let you know a few things that are, for the moment, useful. So how can we turn around and go through this space? So if you want to go through, you just use the keyboards, front arrows, back arrows, left, right. If you want to turn on yourself, you just use the right click. You don't see it yet because it's black, but when you use the right click, you can turn around your avatar. So these are the basics, you know. I will show you some other just later. So let's see what we have here on the right side. We have a little menu with some buttons. Here is the button to disconnect, so don't click it. Here is the button for our storage. I will show you later what it is. Here is a build mode that are a very interesting tool. So you can put some content and create content inside your space. And here the return to avatar start position. I will show you later what it's made for. Okay, so let's first see what is the build mode. Oh yeah, just by the way, you know, we've added a little plugin named chat. So here is the text chat, so I can talk to other people inside the chat, or I can use also here some voice, but I won't for the moment and get rid of this. Okay, so what is the build mode? The build mode is here, the little key, or Control B, and you can see it opens on the left a window. In this window there are several tools. So first is the environment tools, then you have lights, also physics, blocks, and scene optimizer. We will go through for the moment around the environment, blocks, physics, and light, and we'll see scene optimizer in another webinar. So let's go in environment for the moment, and we're gonna say I'm gonna need some sky or something, not to feel so lost in black. So let's put a sky. Here you have sky, water, and fog. So we're gonna add some sky by adding Meshmoon sky. So as it is a real-time mode, we are at night, because in Europe it's night. So I can change this, of course, if I want to. move time to day, I can go here and move time to 10 o'clock, for example. Also here you can add some clouds, partly cloud or mostly cloud or even overcast or storm. As it is simulated, you can also add some wind direction, wind power, and see. But we're gonna leave it, yeah, like this. It's good. And here you have some parameters you don't really need to manipulate for the moment. You can play around with them, and in case you make big changes, then you feel you have broken everything. It's not a big deal. Just delete what you've done and create simply a new Meshmoon sky. So let's go and see what we have under that. So you can hide your advanced options here, and let's add some water. So I may not leave the water not long because it might be a bit laggy for you in the Hangout. So, but just for you to know, you go in water, none, and choose complex here. And as you can see, I'm a little under my sea. So let's fly up a little. Otherwise, I could also move the height of my sea and put it lower like this, you know. As it was for the sky, there are many little parameters you can play around, like changing the kind of water it is, changing color or wave softness, etc. So let's hide the advanced options and remove the water so it's less laggy for everyone. You can also add some fog, of course, and choose the color of your fog. So this was for the environment tool here in the build mode. But there is also a very interesting tool. It's the blocks. So this gives you the possibility to create some simple object. Later on you will have also some library you can add directly here, so you can drag and drop your objects. So let's say we're going to need a floor maybe for our today's example. So let's choose the cube and click select. So you see in the middle of my screen near the head I have a little blue cube. So let's click once with the left click and it have created a cube. So this cube have no texture, nothing. We can see here the physics have been created. I will be explaining you what's physics just a few minutes later. And here we don't need any web browser or media player on our object, but you could add easily some web browser or media player to this little box. But for the moment we're going to change his size and go in top menu here and choose edit and click on our object. So as we use the right click of the mouse, you can see I told you we can rotate. We see that our cube is really far from us, so let's bring it, you know, with the X, Y, Z axis here, green, blue and red axis. You just drag on the blue or red here arrow to bring it under you. So here it should be okay. We're not so far. Okay, so let's go back a little and move it up. Okay, so let's give our object a bigger size. So there are two ways. Or you use on the right the translate, rotate, scale function. So you can go and scale, you know, using those. Or you could just simply keep in translate and scroll with your mouse like this to make the shape bigger. Or a third way, maybe the better, is you do it manually like this and put some, let's say 25 meters in the X, 25 meters in the Z. Then you can just put 1 meter here in Y. So how now we have a little platform and we can press F, and as I told you, we've created some automatically some physics so we can walk on our object. So now that I've created this little object, I can of course clone it, or I can remove it here. So what can we add also in this build mode is some lights. Well, I'll show you this a little later. So let's go now and see what is the storage. Now that we have seen a little more physics also, as you can see, physics are applied to our shape here. You can choose from high detail or box, but box is good for our shape. We don't need to move to another shape. So let's go and see what is the storage. We close the build mode, and then we open here, the little cloud here. That will open your storage. So of course yours won't open like this. You first need to enter the keys I've told you earlier about. When you created your space, you have received an email named Meshmoon account created, and in this mail you have the access keys and secret keys. You just put them here in your login, in your access key and secret key, and then you should see on the right this window open. So this is your storage. In your storage you can put all your contents, like the materials, the script, the meshes, of course, and other things. It's really where you put all your contents. So you can see on the top there is very simple menu. You can create a folder, upload files, download, or delete. Here you can refresh, and here you can go log out, of course, but you don't need this. So what we're going to do is first make sure you have our file that we gave you in the chat. This file contains several things like some material, meshes, and XML. So first I'm going to create right here, create a new folder, or here, create a new folder, it's the same. And I'm going to name it like rocket, for example. So let's see what exactly is this little XML about. So sorry. Here, oops, sorry, this wasn't good. We have the XML that contains all the material and meshes that we're gonna drag and drop in our storage. So just drag and drop the XML here, and as you can see, it will call automatically material and mesh that are contained in your file here, in your folder. So I've done a wrong thing. It's not in the right place, so let's just delete it and go inside Rocket, and we do it again. Drag and drop. Okay. So now we're going to need also some textures. So let's drag and drop the textures too. Okay. So now that we have everything uploaded, we can see what's in our scene. So let's go here and watch around. We should see, oh, here it is. We should see a rocket, but not exactly like we wanted, not exactly in the right line. So what we're going to do first is we're going to move this rocket. So let's see another function that is very interesting. It's the scene editor. So I put it here, and I'm going to close for the moment the storage. So here is the scene editor. I find it here, tools, scene, tool, scene, and you have your scene structure. So the scene structure is a way to manipulate and see what is inside your scene. So there are different type of entities. We call those entities, those things here, like the rocket, the cube, the environment, and here are temporary. So you don't need ever to touch or remove anything in the red lines, because they are temporary and automatically created when you connect to your space. What we need to see, and what we really are interested in, is the black lines, like rocket, cube, rocket, environment. So all those things are called entities, and inside each entities we can find some components. So for example, if I click on my rocket, here, I can see that there is now the component editor that is open. I'm going to put it like this, it's more clean here. And there are some basic components like the mesh, so we can know where is our mesh in our storage and where is our material. Also, there is a component for the name, there is a component for the placeable, so we know where we place our objects. So you can do it by hand, but of course you can do it here by moving here the numbers. So you can move position, rotation, and scale of your object. So you can also add some components, like for example, we would like this rocket to be a solid object. So there are two ways to add this rigid body. Or I do it this way by right-clicking here and adding a new component named rigid body. Where is it? Rigid body here. And I have to scroll down a little and to make sure it is a tree mesh, so it really fits the exact object. But there is a simpler way to do this. It was just for you to know that you can add some very different components here. So let's show you another way. I delete it here and I show you another way to add some physics to your object. So let's go back in build mode, and oh, I'm automatically in physics, that's good. So we were in environment, we saw the blocks, but we can go in physics here and click our object and say apply physics true and choose from box to high detailed. So you can see now in green that the rigid body, the physics for this object are really all around the object. So let's close our build mode, and now I'll go back to our scene editor and I'm gonna rotate my rocket. So let's double click on the rocket. So we open the edit component and go in the placeable. So as you can see, it have automatically, as we were in the build mode here in physics, and created the physics for our object. It automatically created also the physics. We can see them in the entity component editor. So let's go for a moment in placeable and move the rotation to a 90 degrees, for example in X, 0 degrees in Y, and 0 degrees in Z. So now you can move it by hand or move it here by position. So we have it on the ground. And maybe we could give a rotation also, like 45 or maybe more, 90 or maybe more, I don't know, 180. Cool. So we can see our little window on the top here. So now that we have edited our object with the entity component editor and also with the build mode here, let's see what we can do also. We could add some textures to our object. So if we click here, we have a set of textures, but if you click more precisely here in the little cloud here, you can go directly in your storage and find the material you've uploaded. So as the material is not ready yet, I'm not going to use it, but it was just to show you where you can add easily some texture to your object using the build mode. But what we're going to do now is we're going to use the storage, because I need to show you how to work on your material. So when we've uploaded our object, we've uploaded some mesh. Here it is. We've uploaded some textures. If you double click, you can see them. These are textures. And we've uploaded some material. So if you double click in your material or right click open in material editor, it's the same. You will open the material editor. And then you'll see here all the parameters. You don't need to touch them for the moment. You can go through later and play around, but really you don't need to touch them down. Just leave them like this. What we're interested in is shader and textures. So what we need, as you can see, is there's no shader. So that means if we put some light, light won't affect our object. And I will show you what is difference between the ground and the rocket later. So let's put some shaders, and we're going to choose diffuse light map and shadows here. Now in drop down menu, choose diffuse light map shadows. And as you can see, it have created two textures, one for diffuse, one for light map. So that's good because we have uploaded some texture for that. So let's go here in the little cloud and pick up from our storage the rocket T textures. That means rocket texture. And then here we're going to go in the cloud, little cloud, and choose the AO texture, rocket AO texture. So if I press save, now I have a better material that I can use, or by the build mode here. Here, or by another way that I find is very cool, it's just by drag and dropping your material. So for example, I have my mesh here and I just drag and drop. You can see I just drag and drop my material. As it is ready and set, now I can put it anywhere. So it's quite stupid to put it on the ground as it's not good UVs, but we could. So let's put it on the rocket here. Of course, as I have drag and drop the material, I can also drag and drop a mesh. So if I want, I can put another rocket here. Here is little blue rocket. Of course, there's no material, so just drag and drop the material on it. Okay, so now we have two rockets. That's maybe not the best. So let's close our storage and go in sorry, not in tools, scene, double click in the second rocket, or just delete it. Sorry, like this, just delete it. So here we have now a space with some physics on the ground and no physics in our rocket, or maybe yes. So let's put some light, maybe it would be nice. So we're going to use for that the build mode and close is this here. Let's go in front of our rocket and we're going to add some light. So I can show you how on a simple mesh the light don't have any effect, and on a normal shader, normal material, it have effect. So let's go in build mode here and choose lights and say new light. So of course, as the light is white, we don't really see any effect on our rocket. Maybe a little bit, yeah, like this. So what you can do with your light, of course, is choose between the spot, directional, or point, but we're gonna let it like point. You can choose color. For example, we're gonna use orange so you can really see the effects of the light on the object. Okay, and you can activate the shadows, and you can also set the range of your light if it's very close or if it goes very far, and of course brightness and attenuation of your light. So you can add also other lights, of course, like add many lights to your space, 10 lights I think. And then here we go, I can put some green one and put it here. Okay. Okay, we're gonna have 3 lights in our scene. And I'm gonna put them at 0.3, for example. Okay. Good. Now we have our 3 lights. And you can see on the object that we have different kind of lights affecting our object. So this is it, I think. We have been through creating our space, then uploading some contents, then seeing how we can manipulate and edit these meshes we have imported, how we can add some textures and how we can edit the materials, add some physics also. So, and see of course how we can put some sky and environment in our space. So I think this is all for the basics for today. I think we're done, and I hope it was not too fast, so it was good for you. Now if you have any question.